everybody. This is Carol Maletta. Welcome to the Parenting 411 podcast, where we share information parents need from sources they can trust. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're talking about preparing teen girls for their dream careers in STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. As we know, women continue to be underrepresented in STEM fields, but our guest today is working to change that. She founded Girls Inspired and Ready to Lead Incorporated, and she's the author of Launchpad to Success: 21 Ways for Teens to Prepare for Their Dream Careers. She's dedicated her career to empowering young women to identify and pursue their passions in STEM, and she has some incredible insights to share. So whether you're a young woman exploring your options in STEM, a parent or educator looking to support the next generation of female leaders, or simply interested in learning more about the future of STEM careers, this episode is for you. So why don't we get started? Welcome, Danielle Craddock.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Carol. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, we talked a little bit about the fact that you founded Girls Inspired and Ready to Lead, and you were the director. And I know that the organization exposed middle school and high school girls to opportunities through workshops and conferences. So let's talk about that and how you were inspired to found that organization.
Yes, back in 2010, I founded Girl, and I just had a passion for giving back to the community, number one. And two, growing up here in Fairfax County, not seeing a lot of other students that looked like me, being one of the few Black students in my class at my school, just wanting to give back to my community and do something for girls, especially so they can see what they can become. So through working at my church, I got some experience working with youth there and also mentoring in college as well. I mentored at an elementary school. So bringing all my experiences together, when I came back home after I graduated, I was working full-time at a nonprofit, at a large nonprofit, United Negro College Fund, for the Gates Millennium Scholars Program. So that also inspired me to keep working with students, because we were working with the top minority students in the country, giving them the scholarship funded by the Gates Foundation. And it was an amazing experience that made me think about, oh, I want to start a nonprofit. So I started the nonprofit and I reached out to the community to help me plan events. I loved event planning. So I created different events. So it was more of a non-traditional mentoring organization where we didn't have formal one-on-one mentoring, but we mentored through curated events, as you mentioned, career conferences, workshops, STEM camps, one-on-one workshops on different topics for career readiness, leadership development, confidence building, networking luncheons. And then we ended last summer with the internship program where 17 girls were placed in paid internships.
Wow. So tell us what inspired you then to write your book, Launchpad to Success: 21 Ways for Teens to Prepare for Their Dream Careers.
Yes, I was really inspired by the girls and their stories and their experiences at our events. And many times I would have them write a summary, and I would put the blogs on our website and send it out in newsletters so that the community just could feel the impact that the girls are having from the event and how it changed their lives and introduced them to careers that they didn't even know existed. So I really wanted to capture their emotions after the event. And I kept all of them, and I keep in touch with so many of the girls, especially the ones that had written stories. And I thought it would be really interesting to show people where they are now, where they started in middle and high school attending an event, but to show that now they are studying. One is a doctor. They are studying what they were exposed to and how that really helped them define their career path and inspire them. And also it is a summary of what the organization did. I provide summaries of the different events related to the tips that I give in the book. So it's a blueprint for different activities that organizations can do or parents can do. And it also provides that inspiration as students and adults read the stories as well.
Now, I understand you have pivoted a little bit in terms of the way that you help young people. So, how do you help young women identify and pursue their passions and career goals now?
Yes, I do have my consulting company now, Danielle Craddock LLC, where I do the same type of workshops in helping students to use mentors as a resource to help them. So I give them the same tips that we taught through our events through Girl, telling them about going to networking events, teaching them how to interact professionally with adults, how to find a mentor, and you can find mentors at a variety of places like career camps that we hosted, career conferences, our camps. We had a camp in partnership with George Mason College of Science that's still going on today. I think this is year 8.
Mhm.
We have had connections made through those events where girls would find mentors and find the inspiration um, to follow their career paths and get jobs and internships, and also through just community events. So really teaching them how to communicate and network.
Mhm. We'll be right back after this. You love your kids. You do your very best for them. But sometimes it feels like it's just not enough. And you're so sure you're the only one who feels this way. The truth is, you're not alone. It is also true that there are some things you're doing quite right. And there's a community who would love to exchange ideas with you. I'm Carol Maletta, creator of the Parenting 411, a portal for parents where I share information parents need through webinars and masterclasses. And not only that, the parents there support each other on this amazing journey in the Parenting 411 community group on Facebook. I can't wait to meet you in the community. And we're back with the Parenting 411. So, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest hurdles that young women face today when it comes to pursuing their dream careers, and how do you help them conquer the challenges?
I think the pressure to be perfect, the fear of failing. Um, I think when we used to have career conferences and I would read the surveys, the girls were really inspired by the speakers because the speakers would talk about how they failed, and it just normalized making mistakes and not being perfect from the beginning and kind of navigating your way to success. So that really inspired the girls, seeing other people and um, showing them what they can become. So really just hearing stories from women who have been in their shoes and hearing their journeys and their paths. So I think providing them with different opportunities for confidence building and leadership opportunities as well helps them build their confidence and know that it's okay to pivot, or not necessarily that there aren't really failures. You may have lessons learned. So that has been really encouraging and motivating for them.
Hmm. Now, I know that you've touched the lives of a lot of young girls, especially with your previous organization, Girl. I wonder if you could share some stories, just some examples of young girls you've worked with. They've achieved success in higher education and their career pursuits, and what you'd say led to them succeeding and getting there and achieving their goals.
Yes, several girls come to mind. I'll tell you about one who was part of our book project that we did in 2014. We had another book where the girls submitted writings and achieved their dreams of becoming a published writer. And one of the girls, her name is Christian, she ended up publishing her own book because she really loves poetry, and that helped her with her confidence as well. So she would write poems, and then we helped her publish her own book of poems. So she was really happy to achieve her dream of being a published writer again with her own book. And now she's actually an English teacher.
Okay.
So it's amazing to see how she's been inspired and how writing has helped her. And now she's a writing teacher. She's working on a master's degree as well, and another book that she also illustrates. Then there's Hannah, who came to a career conference and met somebody at the National Institute of Health, connected with her, and had internships throughout the end of high school and college. And she's a doctor. We have Olena, who was interested in computer science, found her love in computer science. And because I knew that, I would send her opportunities to gain even more training in computer science. And now she's majoring in computer science at George Mason. And I see her as part of a internship. I see the picture, she's interning at Microsoft. So these connections that they've made and the skills have helped them further their degrees, their studies, and their career experience, which will prepare them to get a job faster than some other people who haven't had the experience. And I always tell them to let somebody know what they're interested in, because the girls that got more opportunities and more out of the program were ones that made a connection with me and vocalized what they were interested in. So then when opportunities came across my desk, I would know who to send them to because they were vocal and told me what their interests were. So I always give students that advice to let teachers, let educators, let your mentors know what you're interested in. And if you go to a workshop, don't just sit in the room, but at the end, go up to the presenter and introduce yourself. So we talk a lot about that, how to introduce yourself and let them know that, oh, I really liked what you're doing. I want to follow in that path, because they will keep your information. They might have a job or an internship. So really just being open to learning how to network and not being afraid to talk to adults.
Yes, and that kind of brings me to something I was going to ask you about in terms of how you can help prepare them to be assertive and confident, particularly in male-dominated fields like STEM.
Yes. Yes, so definitely we talked about building a community, joining an organization where there are other people, like-minded girls, like-minded women. So for instance, the summer camp, the girls loved that because they felt comfortable, because there were just girls of color around them, and they didn't have to be afraid of being smart or interested in science and math. They were surrounded by a community of like-minded students. So that boosted their confidence. So, and in the book, that's one of the points, to join an organization where you feel like you have community. And also a lot of the companies that they might intern with have affinity groups where they can feel a part of a group, whether it's a particular ethnic group or women's group. And the girls that interned last summer at one of the sites, they actually got to work with the different affinity groups. So they got firsthand experience about what it's like to find support in a workplace.
That's very important exposure right there. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I wonder, we come through a pandemic. I wonder how the pandemic affected young girls' career aspirations and opportunities, and what kind of advice do you have for young women who navigate similar challenges?
Yes, I think I found that when we shifted to virtual, when we were doing our workshops virtual, a lot of the girls, they don't like to come on camera. And I know some people, some students thrived in virtual learning and some didn't. It was more comfortable for some because they're more introverted. I think just learning how to, again, network and communicate um, virtually and online. So we did some workshops on about LinkedIn and how to make a profile as a student, how to professionally communicate. We talked about etiquette, with introducing yourself to somebody online. Maybe you see their profile, or maybe one of our speakers at a virtual workshop showing them how to connect afterwards, sending a professional email and things like that to help them continue to grow their um, exposure and experiences, because even virtual internships were happening, so they weren't able to go in person, during the first year or so of COVID. So learning how to navigate all of that, we just continued to incorporate that in our workshops, having the confidence virtually and just communicating when you can't meet somebody in person.
I like that a lot because as you were speaking too, I was wondering if the opportunities were still there for them during the pandemic, if they were still able to find opportunities, but it sounds like they were.
Yes, so I try to keep my programming going as well. We did everything virtually, all what that we would have done in person, and we were actually able to touch girls from all over the country because it was virtual. So we had girls from Texas join, from
Oh, wow.
Georgia. So it definitely helped. And even in the small groups, girls were still able to build connections. And when we would do breakouts, so there was still opportunity for girls to practice building relationships, getting into small groups through Zoom breakout rooms.
Mhm.
And they were able to, I've seen two girls connect. They were in one of our virtual programs, and then they became friends and went to one another's birthday parties. So they were still able to make connections, not even seeing each other and meeting in person.
That's wonderful. So what advice would you have for parents or educators who have young women in their lives, and they how can they support them and empower them? I know you've, certainly from your experience, you've worked with a lot of them. What do they need? We'll be right back after this. As the saying goes, mother's work is never done, except when it really is. I'm talking about my new book, Mother's Work: Pearls of Wisdom and Gems from My Journey. I share my transformation from an outmanned, overwhelmed mom of twin boys to a parenting strategist and consultant, and being honored as DC Mother of the Year by American Mothers Incorporated. In Mother's Work, I tell you about the 7 guideposts that kept me anchored as I weathered the peaks and valleys of motherhood. Grab your copy at carolmaletta.com/motherswork. And we're back with the Parenting 411.
I would say exposure and encouragement. Definitely continue exposing students to a variety of opportunities, because at first they may not want to go. You may sign them up for something. I saw this a lot. Parents would sign their student up, but they didn't want to come. But at the end, they walked away loving the experience. So I would just encourage parents and educators and mentors to continue taking students to different events, because you never know who will be there, what speaker might have that special touch that'll interest your student and get them thinking about a career that they didn't even know existed, somebody that may speak to their interest. So
Mhm.
continue to expose them. And then once they do find that particular area that they're interested in, focus on that area. If their interest was sparked in computer science, I would say start Googling camps related to computer science, or um, a mentor, finding somebody who works in that field that could speak with them. Volunteering, I would focus all of your efforts into a particular field, or field or two, so
Mhm.
that you're building your resume with volunteer experience, work experience, um, special project. Maybe it's an app competition, and community groups, maybe the club at school. So everything related to your interests, because that will enhance their resume. And when they're applying for college, or they're applying for an internship or job, the person reviewing the application will see that, oh, they really are interested in this particular field because they've attended all these events related to that. They volunteered in this field. So I just, having a background reviewing scholarship applications, I know what stands out to reviewers when they're looking at so many different applications. So I would say expose them, continue to support and encourage them. And once you find that one particular area, hone in on that.
Yeah, and you raise an important point in terms of the track record and the experience that employers or college admissions directors would look at in making their choices. So I'd also ask then, what are some other important skills and qualities that young women should have in order to succeed in their academic studies and then ultimately in the workforce, and anything that you do in your consulting that might help them?
Yes, so as I mentioned, volunteering, I think leadership is really important. And that's one thing that I tried to help the girls with as well, to develop leadership skills, because that's also important. Teamwork. And we actually created a teen council so that the girls could have experience um, on a board and
Mm.
speaking, representing other girls in the organization and representing their needs, so we knew what type of events to create, and then they could also learn those organizational skills, and that's important. And also the confidence, it also helped build their confidence when they were given an assignment to take ownership over.
Mhm.
And also I would say the volunteering, because that's part of leadership too. They learned volunteer and community service, and a lot of jobs have those departments, the social responsibility. So that's something that they can continue as they're preparing for the workforce as well.
That sounds good. So, how can we follow your work, whether it's on social media or your website, to keep up with what you're doing with young women?
Yes, so my website is daniellecraddock.com, and there you can send me a message if you'd like a workshop on for teens on how to prepare for college and careers and navigate that, or how to use mentors as a resource to help you be successful. And then I really enjoy speaking to youth groups and helping them navigate that. And then I also do nonprofit consulting. Over the years, many people have asked me how I started a nonprofit.
Mhm.
So I have a program where I teach founders my 5 building blocks to nonprofit foundations, so that they can skip all the trial and error. There's a lot of things I wish I knew from the very beginning, things that I've learned, so they can just get the ground, hit the ground running without making a lot of costly mistakes, and just learning some tips and things like that are really important, like partnerships and um, building your board, funding. So I do that with a lot of clients, just helping them to start everything and put that plan in place.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. I really appreciate you joining me today for this conversation. I think it's very timely because maybe because of what you have said, maybe some teens will spend their summer differently and spend their future summers differently, now that they have a better understanding of what's out there, what's available, but also what college administrators would be interested in, what future employers would be interested in terms of the experiences and the skills and qualities that they can bring to their college education as well as to their employment. So thank you so much for that. To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, Parenting 411, on all of your major podcast hosts. And also, as Mother's Day is approaching, I encourage you to grab a free copy of Mother's Work, my mini motherhood memoir. It's Mother's Work, Pearls of Wisdom and Gems from My Journey. I'm offering it free. You just have to pay shipping and handling, but you will also get some bonuses. You will get access to my webinar, Do You Hear Me? Staying Connected in the Chaos, along with the companion workbook. And you will also get my award-winning book, The Parenting Odyssey, Trials, Treasures, and Triumphs of Parenting in the Pandemic. And although we know that the pandemic has, for the most part, passed us by, the book is also very much about stories, inspiring stories about how parents responded to crisis. And while we hope we don't see another pandemic, we can be pretty sure that we're going to face challenges in the future, and there may be a crisis in the future. And so these parents had wonderful advice. So I hope that you will take advantage of this offer. It's mothersworkthebook.com. Grab it. And thank you. I don't take it lightly that you all take time to listen to this podcast or watch it on YouTube. So I want to leave you with my usual words of encouragement. And I want you to remember that it is never too late to be the parent that you want to be.